Sony has been real quiet for a while ever since the art theft plagiarism scandal that happened with Bungie. Has been kind of the big headline across the board, and now they've kind of actually opened up on the matter and have admitted a few mistakes and have even confirmed that the extraction shooter Marathon will be delayed until next year. It was supposed to be coming out this September, and it was supposed to be Sony's next big live service debut. But ever since that scandal, Sony seems to have to kind of backtrack and reevaluate on a few things. Now, it's kind of a shame because Marathon was supposed to be Bungie's next big, extraction-based live service shooter. And if there was any hype, any momentum, it seems to have now hit a huge standstill. And even the worst part is right around October, there's another big extraction shooter coming out called Arc Raiders. And for them, the team behind that game are going to be super thrilled because there's literally no competition. They're going to eat up that extraction shooter market all for themselves all throughout the rest of this year until next year, hoping that Marathon could even stand a chance or be in the position in the minds of gamers. I think by then, maybe people won't have any interest. But let's talk a little bit about this. Marathon was a game that Bungie developed back in the 90s, and this is supposed to be a revival of Bungie's classic IP. It was marketed as this bold and innovative project. They always like to say this. It's just an extraction shooter. It's not that deep. The studio's first new title in over a decade, but its path to release has already been drawn into all sorts of scrutiny, especially because of that art theft scandal. Now, just to give you guys a brief explanation, some artists online, specifically one artist, has basically claimed that Bungie stole their art and put it in the game. And of course, he showed some evidence, he made some comparisons, and Bungie admitted, we did not check our team. We did not audit our team well enough, and that is stolen art. And it was huge. This was a huge backlash, so much so that there was a question whether Sony was going to delay, and it seems like that's going to be the case. Sony recently admitted that internal alpha testing, even for Marathon, produced varied feedback. Not a lot of hype for the game itself, let alone the scandal. And so the company insists it remains committed to launching the game before the end of March 2026. And, I tell you, Sony's live service strategy has been an absolute fumble. They once, many years ago, when they projected this huge 10-year plan for their live services, they were going to include over a dozen titles by 2026, but it has faced significant turbulence. Concord, failure. They shut it down. They shut down that whole studio. Last of Us multiplayer, canceled. Naughty Dog said we don't want to commit our entire studio to one game, even though they're more than willing to commit to remasters and remakes of The Last of Us, ironically enough. There was also another game, Fair Game, it's supposed to be a multiplayer heist game, has been delayed indefinitely. There was supposed to be a multiplayer God of War, got canceled. It's just on and on and on. And Sony's live service strategy has been nothing but perhaps one of the costliest failures in PlayStation history. Even during a recent investor-focused interview, Herman Hulst, the head of Sony Studios Business Group, addressed the aftermath of Concord and its implications for future projects like Marathon. He acknowledged that Concord failed because it lacked distinctiveness in a saturated market. Really? It took you losing $400 million to figure that out, huh? While the game had strong development efforts behind it, Sony concluded that it was not differentiated enough to capture or sustain player interest. A little too late for that, buddy. And now, despite the varied feedback for Marathon's closed alpha, Hulst remains optimistic, highlighting Bungie's commitment to iteration, through testing and analytics. He emphasizes that this iterative cycle of testing is very important to refine Marathon and hopefully at least let it meet expectations when it launches. The goal, he said, is to give the game the optimal chance of success, not only at launch, but throughout its life cycle. All I know is that Sony realizes that this could be another Concord failure, and they want to do everything in their power not to repeat that failure. But I worry, I really do, that it might not meet expectations. I'm just saying, Arc Raiders is right around the corner, and I feel like it's gonna eat up all the excitement and player base that have been craving for a brand new, fresh extraction shooter. And so when that game is out for a couple of months, it's gonna be there for 6 to 8 months before before Marathon comes out in March. Marathon needs to exceed those expectations and more. If the hype and the expectations have already been high, this is gonna even become higher now that the game has been delayed. Bungie and Sony are in troubled waters, and I worry that this could actually not bode all that well for both of them. Marathon did not have the hype when it got into alpha testing. I don't see content creators or streamers talking about it all that much. They're not gushing to want to play it again, but they were gushing about Arc Raiders. There can only be so many extraction shooters out there in the market. We'll have to see which one will survive in this very intensely competitive market. But you guys let me know. Do text in and share your thoughts and opinion. Do you think Bungie still has a chance to make Marathon work? Can it be the live service that can survive at the same level of Destiny 2, have that 10-year plan down the line, or could it not last more than a year, as many live services have suffered the same demise? Of course, we can only wait and see when it comes out in March 2026, but share your predictions, share your thoughts, and do let me know right here on the Evening Buzz. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more news and highlights from the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.